Hello and welcome to episode number 43 of No Whining. We are starting into our 8th wine list today. That is hard to believe, but that's where we are. And a little spoiler alert, we are beginning the episode with a celebration wine, a little bit of champagne, because today is Christmas. It is the birth of our Lord, the dear Lord baby Jesus. And so Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas for those of you across the very big pond. Let's get into our first wine of the day. This is a non-vintage Barnaut Grand Reserve Brut Champagne Grand Cru Boozy. Okay, that's a mouthful. Now this wine is, and this is the first champagne we've had in all these episodes, which is kind of crazy to think, so I'm very excited about this. But this wine is coming from the farthest northeast sub-region of Champagne, or Champagne, as we typically say in the States. Very much to my dismay, but it's coming from Montagne de Reims. More specifically, it's from the perfectly and aptly named village of Boozy. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, so this champagne is 33% thereabouts Chardonnay grapes, which are of course white grapes, and 66% Pinot Noir grapes, which are black grapes. Now, a little bit just to kind of get you thinking about it, do you know how we get a white wine from mostly black grapes? How would that happen? How would that happen? So a little bit of trivia there. We have gone over this a little bit in previous episodes, but it's just good to kind of go back and review these types of things and quiz ourselves. And if you're not certain on that, maybe go back in some earlier episodes or just do a little bit of research online because it's actually pretty fascinating how that is done. Okay, I also, by the way, do an overview of how sparkling wine gets made and how sparkling wine gets its bubbles in episode 15. So I did include the link to that episode in the description. You can check that out afterward. Okay, from the great tech sheet, it says Philippe II manages the artisan house of Barnaut in Boozy, a village long famous for distinctly full-bodied champagne on the southern flank of the Reims mountain. The grapes are almost entirely from parcels in Boozy on the south-facing slope of the Montagne de Reims. The soil is Champagne's famous companion chalk. The vines average 45 years of age. No herbicides, only light plowing, or pesticides. Organic compost, minimal fungicides. Hand harvested. Vinification. Fruit is sorted on a vibrating sorting table and then pressed with a state-of-the-art pneumatic press and exposed to oxygen to allow for potentially oxidative elements to fall out. Sulfur additions consequently reduced. Parcels vinified individually in stainless steel with indigenous yeast, undergoes malolactic fermentation. Reserve wine, this is interesting, from a solar system maintained by 5 generations of Barnaut descendants. Dosage is 6 grams per liter. So dosage is basically like the last little bit of kind of like this liquid mixture that they add after disgorgement, and it essentially determines the final level of residual sugar in the wine or in the champagne or champagne in this case. So this is 6 grams per liter, which is very much still a dry wine, even though there's technically a tiny bit in there. It's very difficult to detect that low of a level. Okay, just a couple other things real quick. This was aged on the lees for 24 months or more prior to disgorgement. The disgorgement date is listed on the back of the bottle as 2020, so this has been bottle aging since that time. Okay, let's get into it. All right, I poured myself a tiny little glass here because it's not even noon yet. So I don't want to be day drinking too much here. So tiny little sample for the tasting. Can't wait. But this is clear. I'm going to call this a medium gold. It obviously has those fine little mousse bubbles in there. So beautiful. And light viscosity, I'm going to say at least medium minus, probably light on the sides of the glass there. Let us take it to the schnoz. It says clean. It is developing, and it's got light intensity aromas, starting out with just really beautiful ripe apple flavor. Okay, let's go back. A little bit of pear and some candied peach. It's got some lemon in here, but it also has some cherry, right? So when you have the Pinot Noir as part of the mix, you get some different flavors than you might expect. Some red fruits as opposed to just green, yellow, and kind of orchard fruits and stone fruits and that type of thing. Okay, let's go back in. Yeah, that wonderful cream, the brioche, the bread dough notes, that autolytic character from the wine resting on its lees. Again, I'll refer you back to episode number 15 because I go into more detail about how that all works, but that is a lovely quality here today. Let's go back in. I think there's a little bit more. Yeah, like a chalky character, minerality, and then I would say even just a hint of some sweet almond, like a marzipan type of an aroma. Okay, it is time to go to the jaws. Can't wait. Okay, that tastes dry. The body on it is actually, I'm gonna say it's about a medium body, which is great. That's got a little bit more, again, heft and fortitude than most sparkling wines would be considered to have, but that's really nice to have that extra body in there. The alcohol is low. It's probably around 12%. That's usually where sparkling wines sit anyway, 12.5%. And the acidity is pretty darn sky high on this for sure. The flavor intensity is much more so than the aromas, right? Like the aromas were pretty muted, not particularly pronounced, but I would say medium plus flavor intensity. And this finish is definitely sticking around. I would say a medium plus finish to this as well. It's got this silky, fine, creamy mousse, which is just so nice. And when you have a traditional method sparkling wine, especially like something from Champagne, it is just like that gorgeous mouthfeel on it that you don't get from some of the other methods of sparkling wine production. Tank method, you don't really get that. You get bubbles, but they're not as fine and silky. The texture is just a much different quality. And so this is very good in terms of quality. The only thing that frankly is keeping it from being something I would call outstanding is it doesn't have quite enough flavor intensity for my taste to say that it would be ushered into that category, but it is very close. So extending off of that, I don't think that this is suitable for additional bottle aging because on the one hand, even though I would really like to see those beautiful nutty flavors, that type of a character to come out in this, those tertiary notes, I think that would make this an even better wine. I do not believe that it has the flavor concentration in it in order to hold up under the additional aging. I think the wine might actually get thrown out of balance a little bit. So I would say not suitable for additional bottle aging, but it is lovely right now, and that's a great way to celebrate today and to kick off episode number 43 and wine list number 8. Okay, let's go to our second wine of the day. This is a 2014 Au Contraire Lawler Vineyard Pinot Noir. This is around $40, and this wine is coming from Los Carneros in Sonoma County, California. Now, we tested another Pinot Noir from Los Carneros back in episode number 20, I believe it was, and it was awesome. Here's part of what I said from that episode, and I think it was a 2019 Maryvale, if I'm not mistaken. But here's part of what I said. Los Carneros in California's Napa Valley is north of San Francisco and directly north of San Pablo Bay. This area gets plenty of fog and cool breezes and weather thanks to the nearby Pacific Ocean. So it is considered by some as the most ideal growing conditions in all of California for a variety such as Pinot Noir. Some information from the producer's website. A maritime climate with warm days and a long growing season define the Lawler Vineyard. The vineyards are situated within gently rolling hills rising up from San Pablo Bay in Carneros. Primary fermentation in stainless steel tanks followed by malolactic fermentation in barrel on full fermentation lees. Native yeasts and a few small lots with cultured Burgundy isolates. Minimal racking. 12 months in barrel, 100% of those being French, 50% of those being new. Okay, let's check this out. Okay, this wine is clear. I'm going to call it a pale garnet color and medium plus, I would say, viscosity there on the sides of the glass with those tears. Alrighty, let's take it to the schnoz. This is beautiful on the nose. I mean, the schnoz is liking every single last bit of this. Wowzers, wowzers. Okay, this is clean. It is definitely a developing wine. Again, a 2016, so it's got some age on it. And I'm gonna say pronounced aromas as well. Okay, let's dip back in and explain exactly what those are. First of all, getting some baked red plum and cranberry, dried red cherry and strawberry. Okay, some fig is coming through, as well as one other thing that I find very interesting and is very unexpected. I'm getting like a quality of rubber, almost like burned rubber. And I know that sounds really bad, but it's actually nice in this, oddly enough. It's not something you would necessarily expect from a wine like this, and maybe it's just me, but it reminds me of like when I come back home. Like I've got a car that's got a pretty big engine in it, and when I get that beast back home and like get out and I'm going through the garage to go in the house, like I can smell the just like that engine kind of cooking, and it's got a little bit of like that burnt rubber type of a quality to it. So very fascinating. Okay, let's dip back in. Okay, hibiscus, vanilla, sage, a little bit of clove. Gosh, some 5-spice, ginger, and then it's got that really beautiful kind of forest floor, mushroom type of a quality. This wine on the nose is like dirty. And I mean that in the best possible way. Like some wines just smell gross, and maybe some of you are not enjoying this at all, but I think for a wine that's this complex with all those different layers to it and like those earth aromas, those savory notes combined with the fruit, like it's just so well done. So on the nose, this is just kicking ass. So anyway, let's take it to the jaws. It's dry, has maybe a medium body on it, but high alcohol, high acid as well. It's very, very mouth-watering. The tannins, I'm gonna say probably medium minus on that, but they're soft tannins. And then it's got, just like it did on the nose, these pronounced flavors. This finish is just absolutely fantastic, sticking around forever. Very, very high quality. This wine is absolutely outstanding. I mean, amazing complexity, phenomenal balance. It's got these exotic flavors and aromas. My goodness, this is taking me aback. Phenomenal integration of all those flavors. Just a pristine example of a Pinot Noir. Like probably the most beautiful expression, honestly, that I've ever had. I think that's how I felt about the Maryvale back in episode number 20. But this, I must say, I think this is taking top spot of the Pinot Noirs that I've had. I'm gonna say this is not suitable for bottle aging because honestly, I can't even imagine this wine becoming any more perfect than it is in this moment. So this is gorgeous, so beautiful. I mean, I guess we'll bring these in to compare them. And during a little break, I did finish my champagne already. So I got ahead of myself. Empty glass. Anyway, despite what this might indicate with this being the empty glass, although this was an amazing champagne and very enjoyable, I mean, this is one of the best wines, if not the best wine that I've had in a very, very, very long time. This is instantly one of my favorites that I've ever had. Like I said, for a Pinot, like this is just gorgeous. This is not, by the way, however, a wine that if I was serving people at a food establishment, this isn't something that you would necessarily recommend to a lot of people. It is a little bit risky. It's not the fruit forward type of thing that, quite frankly, especially in America, people are kind of obsessed with that and don't like that kind of down and dirty, like the aromas that we have, the complexity and the earth elements that are being brought in. But for people that like a good integrated, balanced wine with a lot of those strong, savory kind of a backbone, that's exactly what this provides. So I'm giving this the highest marks I basically can, and I could not recommend this wine enough. So I hope you enjoyed this start to wine list number 8. I think this was absolutely epic, and I do want to remind you to make sure check out the links I put in the video description notes, because those have some videos that you can go to that give you such amazing perspective, again, on the places where these grapes are grown, the winemaking team, like all the things that go into putting a beautifully crafted bottle and glass of wine in your glass at home. So enjoy that, and I will see you back here in episode number 44.